You're listening to Tom O'Connor from NLP-Times.com. In the following short video, I wanted to run through a couple of examples of NLP-style anchoring in action. Anchoring is a fundamental skill of NLP and is nothing more than the process of learning. It's how our brains get two things linked up so that if this happens, then it automatically knows that that will follow. In the following examples, I'm just taking a couple of snippets from different video clips so you can see different types of anchoring in action. The first one we're looking at is Darren Brown in his colorblind video, which I did analysis on. So if we click play, let's start it off.
If I asked you, is there a belief, either about yourself or about things generally, that you would like to believe more than you do?
The first thing before he gets into the anchoring is, in order to be able to anchor something, you have to have a state. That's fundamental in NLP. Most people get confused thinking that anchoring is all about the technique, when it's anything but. So before we get into the actual anchor that he sets, in order to do that, he first has to elicit a state.
Something you don't believe it would be useful if you did believe, or
that I could do better in school. I believe that I could get all my homework done.
But that image is sort of not quite certain somehow. Is that right? When you look at it, it doesn't sort of fit.
And here we see here we see Darren anchoring a state of uncertainty. He asked the lady in this case to think of something that she wasn't quite sure of, it wasn't a strong belief, and she picked a particular one, and then he reaffirmed that with her and got her to validate it by going, yes, I'm not so certain about it. And as she was in the moment of that state, which she is right now, he's touching her left shoulder to be able to anchor it, what we've known as kinesthetic anchor.
Maybe it doesn't feel solid, is that maybe that makes it not, so difficult to sort of grasp hold of, doesn't feel solid, doesn't feel certain. Okay, now where'd you...
Now, we're going to move on to another type of anchor, in this case a visual anchor, and we're going to look at a video by Tony Robbins. In this video we're about to join Tony as he's been interviewed by John Graydon. This video is, I believe, sometime back in the 80s, and I picked it specifically because A, most people who are watching this probably are well aware of Tony Robbins. B is that it's a good example of showing an anchor that will be familiar to a lot of you already if you've studied any Tony Robbins material. And furthermore, it's an example of a natural anchor that Tony's got conditioned for himself that acts both as an anchor but also a trigger for Tony when he fires the anchor. We're about to join Tony. He's talking about procrastination and talking in this case about actually getting motivated.
Sometimes all of a sudden it switches. Suddenly somebody goes, I gotta get a martial arts, or somebody says, I gotta do something. Usually you're running.
Now, that was three examples of Tony using three different anchors. The first one was the click of the finger, the second one was the hand movement, and the third one was the hit the chest and straight out. Each of those, if you've been to any Tony Robbins seminars, you'll know are things that Tony has conditioned and anchored throughout in any of his seminars, particularly the chest and the movement of the hand down like that, which is all really about taking action. So what I want to highlight is that, again, when you're setting an anchor, and in the NLP anchoring product, Master Trainer Michael Breen will be going in a lot more depth in terms of actually, to a certain degree, rewiring what it is to understand how to anchor, and specifically how to be able to anchor in multiple representational systems. But in this case, I wanted to highlight that Tony, when he's doing that, is also firing his own anchor for when he feels confidence, when he feels action, when he's got that go for it attitude. Now, for the last video clip, we're going to look at what I consider a very funny comedian who's doing a sketch on George Bush. So this is a sketch from Saturday Night Live, and I'm going to play this clip in a moment, but what I wanted to highlight again with this is anchoring isn't something that's mysterious. In this case, this comedian gets up, he's doing a short 3-minute sketch, and he's going to effectively steal an anchor, which is steal an association that is already linked up in people's minds and apply it to a different context. So in a moment you're going to see him do a bunch of George Bush Jr. I suppose visual expressions and visual anchors, things that you will have seen many times if you've ever seen George Bush speak. And at the same time as he does that, he applies it to a different context and brings new meaning to it, which makes it very funny. So let's watch.
But the guy that really cracks me up is President Bush.
Now, I'm only going to stop this a few times because it's a very funny clip, but I wanted to highlight, in case you're not familiar with George Bush, how he got the laugh there was when he was, in this case, firing the anchor of, flickering his fingers and looking hesitant, and that particular George Bush mannerism. So let's continue to watch.
I think it's great we have a president who seems like he's always looking directly into the sun. Somebody do me a favor and hand me a pair of sunglasses. Somebody get me a visor. Sir, you mean advisor, no a visor. What are you, stupid? And he's the only person I've ever seen do this when he talks. Turkeys do that. When I'm watching, I'm always waiting for him to go, gobble, gobble. What I truly love is when he gets something right, because when our president gets something right, he is the happiest man on earth. He gets that little smile on his face, that I can't believe that came out correctly smile. It's like a fan is blowing on him 200 or 300 miles an hour. He's not getting rid of world hunger. He's just getting all the way through the sentence and he's content, right? Be like, that's why the United States will lead us all to peace.
And as you've seen there, he's done lots of George Bush mannerisms and visual anchors, the flicking of the eyebrow, and each time that the audience is busting up laughing is directly because they've seen that before George W. Bush.